natural disaster, a new Madrid earthquake. The most active seismic area east of the Rocky Mountains lies right in their backyards. One is getting ready to navigate the post-apocalyptic landscape. And 100 miles away, another is making sure his family will always have a roof over their heads.
Dad, you all right?
They are prepping for Armageddon, the apocalypse, the end of the world as we know it. They are Doomsday Preppers.
I've been a pilot for about 7 years, and I love it very much. Everything looks different when you go up, and all the landmarks that you know on the ground completely change once you get up in the air. From an aerial view, you get that bigger picture, the bird's eye view. It's hard to imagine that the neighborhood that was once safe, where everyone was walking their dogs or the kids are playing in the streets, that all of that can change in a moment's notice. I'm preparing for a catastrophic earthquake off the New Madrid fault line.
In 1811, the New Madrid seismic zone erupted into one of the most powerful quakes in U.S. history. Witnesses claimed it temporarily reversed the waters of the Mississippi River and rang church bells over 700 miles away.
Earthquakes off the New Madrid Fault happen and cycle about every 100 years. We are overdue for a major earthquake.
David thinks the next New Madrid earthquake will trigger a catastrophic geological phenomenon known as liquefaction, in which the solid earth beneath his feet would turn into a free-flowing nightmare.
Imagine yourself driving down the road and then suddenly everything starts to shake and you start to see the road coming at you in a wave. The earth beneath you actually look like the ocean as the soil is loosening and shaking. And the road that you were on is now gone. That's the type of earthquake that can happen in this area and is probably liable to. Houses will be absolutely leveled. Buildings in the downtown area will simply not exist. It is literally destruction at its best. I have several firearms and 5,000 rounds of ammunition, so no one's going to mess with us after an earthquake. I've got about 4 months' worth of food stored, but that's not all. I have a rain catchment system that is totally portable, so my family can thrive on the go. I have a portable garden and small chickens that can bug out with us at a moment's notice.
One study of the potential destruction to the New Madrid fault zone estimates that over 500,000 buildings could be damaged, and over 700,000 people could be permanently displaced. Because David's home is built on the soft soil common in the Mississippi River Basin area, he fears it won't be left standing. So David only selects preps that will be easy to move to his bug-out location. For protein, he keeps silky chickens.
Hey, girls. Girls. Ooh, I feel eggs.
Silkies are a special breed of chicken.
All right, we got the eggs.
Awesome.
Cool.
They're very docile. They become very portable because of that. You can put them in a box and they don't really complain about it.
Silkies are recommended for beginner backyard chicken farmers because of their obedient temperament. And although they are smaller than most other chickens, they are dependable egg layers.
We're in a subdivision type neighborhood, so they don't make noise like normal chickens do. And that's important for us because we don't want to disturb neighbors or anything like that. And we get eggs on a daily basis.
Come here, Puff. He knows how to hold her. Whoop, you gotta get her wings.
Get her wings.
I did.
He also has an aeroponic tower garden, which grows some fruits and vegetables at a more rapid rate than a traditional garden.
It grows almost twice as fast and is very portable.
An aeroponic garden can reduce water usage by 90%, does not use soil, and uptakes more vitamins and minerals.
There you go. Isn't that cool?
The base of the garden has a 20-gallon reservoir filled with a plant food solution, which is delivered up the tower by a submersible pump. The solution then trickles back down the tower over the exposed plant roots.
We're able to get lettuce and also tomatoes and cucumbers and real food, and it just continues to replenish itself.
If an earthquake happens, what will we do with it?
What will we do with it? Well, luckily, it comes in sections. We can take those sections apart, take it
What
with
about
us.
the roots?
Roots
they
are
break?
fine. They'll stay inside the section, and then if they come out, you just stick them back in there so that they get their water.
This other stuff, like the zucchini down there, once we get to the bug out location even, we can pull that, take it out, plant it, and it'll continue to grow and thrive in the new location.
David believes a new Madrid earthquake will destroy all the roads and bridges leading out of his neighborhood, so he is working on a prep that will let him see the damage from above.
To prepare for chaos after an earthquake, I'm building aerial surveillance drones.
This is going to be the greatest natural disaster in American history. It's so catastrophic that you can never be 100% prepared for it. Individual preppers here in Tennessee have made great strides to prepare, but nobody will ever be truly ready for a disaster like this. The shaking comes, and the damage comes, and it would take a long time, if ever, for things to get back to normal. When you think about earthquakes, most people think about the San Andreas Fault in California. However, the New Madrid fault line that runs basically up the Mississippi River is actually larger. Because New Madrid runs from Tennessee into Missouri, it covers 5 to 7 states. A good way to think about it is it's Katrina times 3. You start to have cascading effects, a lot of infrastructure, a lot of economic disaster that stems from the actual earthquake. It would be catastrophic for the states surrounding the fault line.
Some experts estimate there's a 10% chance the fault will erupt another earthquake greater than a 7.0 in the next 50 years. And David has decided that preparing for it is his full-time job.
I'm an emergency management professional out of Dixon, Tennessee. Prepping, you know, it's really my lifestyle. Outside of work, I probably spend another 30 or 40 hours a week prepping. The things that I do it's all geared around protecting my family. I'm married to a very wonderful lady that puts up with all my projects.
Bring it over here.
We have a beautiful 15-month-old son that one day I hope that he'll start following in my footsteps.
Seems like every weekend David's doing something new, whether it's a water filter, a rabbit cage, it's always something.
My wife and I, we've chosen careers that fulfill us, that doesn't necessarily give us a good bank account. So a lot of our preps are lower budget. So we do a lot of do-it-yourself related things.
If the new Madrid fault shook the region, municipal water lines could be damaged and contaminated with harmful chemicals like arsenic and illness-causing bacteria. Many preppers store hundreds of gallons of water in their homes, but David stocks up on salt, which he will use to make a bleach solution to purify his backyard pond water.
So if you'll just hold that.
To make the bleach, David is constructing a saline converter from a piece of PVC piping and a titanium screen.
We got to be real careful to not touch the edges of our wire so we don't damage it. We just slide that in.
Next, he will add an electric charge to the screen to create electrolysis, which will change the chemical composition of the salt water.
Let's just say this was a car battery. You take the black clip and put to the negative.
Okay.
You put the red clip to the positive. And if you'll just hold those, you got a little hole here. You put that over your cup.
Okay.
And then you take your salt water and slowly pour it. See how it bubbles?
Yeah.
When the salt water contacts the electrified grates, it breaks down into sodium hydroxide and chlorine gas,
It's pretty cool.
which react to form chlorine bleach.
See how it's bubbling and smoking? So once it's poured through, you just switch. And you do this 4 or 5 times just to smell that.
Ooh, strong.
Starting to smell like
Yeah.
bleach, right? You put a teaspoon of this into a gallon of your water, right? And it will kill any of the biological contamination that's in it.
David believes that an earthquake would disrupt power service in Tennessee indefinitely. So he has also invented a way to charge the battery he will need to power his saline converter.
There's only a couple actual transformers in backup in the entire nation. It doesn't really matter how much money you throw at the problem. It's still going to take at least a year to get the new transformers built, shipped, and installed.
David plans to generate electricity using a homemade steam engine in which wood can be converted into power.
We're building a steam engine from a discarded weed eater, which allows us to create electricity without having to buy fuel. So we can use just discarded twigs and sticks from here in the woods to make electricity. We're going to make a rod that will sit on that piston to move it up and down. The steam will push the rod down. As it comes back up, it'll push it open, and it'll knock it back down.
In a grid-down scenario, David will power the engine using twigs from his property. But in a first test, he's attempting to power it using a pressure cooker. Steam from the boiling water is being directed from the pot to the engine through a plastic coil.
Do you seriously have that on the stove?
Yeah, that's the steam engine. When I hook this up and I build a mount, we're going to connect it via some pulleys and belts to a motor. We're going to run the motor backwards, and it'll turn into an alternator. In a real disaster, we would use this to charge batteries and power other things.
That's pretty cool. What do you think?
A pressure cooker boils water at a higher temperature, and the overheated steam that is created should drive the piston in the engine up and down. And if all goes well, power the light bulb David has set up.
Yeah, hot. That's right. We can't touch that.
David thinks he has nothing to fear from the grid going down, but he does fear his wood frame house won't stand up to the powerful shock of a new Madrid blast.
I'm building a geodesic dome to survive a catastrophic New Madrid earthquake.
In Tennessee, David Mays and his family are preparing for a major new Madrid earthquake that could liquefy the ground right under their feet.
When you look at the possibility that the earth can literally open up and swallow you in, it really does give you a different perspective.
The shaking from the earthquake could create liquefaction, which could swallow cars and even homes. So at the first sign of an earthquake, David and his family plan to head to their bug-out location, far from any damaged man-made structures. Today, they're loading up their Jeep and heading out on their very first escape route drill.
Today we're going to practice a drill scenario to where the earthquake has happened, and now we're going to do a practice run on actually what does it take to actually get there.
David's bug-out vehicle is a modified four-wheel drive utility vehicle, like those used by the National Guard to respond to emergencies.
What kind of obstacles would we have to deal with?
Well, there could be a lot of things. The bridges could be out, cars strewn around the roads. The biggest concern along my route to the bug-out location are the bridges, because we don't know what kind of cracks or crevices that could have happened, sinkholes that could have been created.
Some scientists researching the new Madrid seismic zone believe more than 3,000 area bridges could be destroyed if a 7.0 earthquake occurs. To make sure they can safely reach their bug-out location, David plans to use his piloting skills to get a detailed view of the detours from above.
I have a fixed-wing drone with the cameras attached, feeding me information back.
Drones are commonly used by the military for reconnaissance. David's fixed-wing drone is capable of traveling 30 miles per hour at 400 feet in the air and can patrol 1 square mile every 10 minutes.
All right, let's check up ahead a little bit if we can.
An onboard camera uses an encrypted radio wave signal to stream a live feed to his tablet so he can quickly survey and map large areas of destruction.
You see the bridge up?
Can't see it yet.
It's coming in. It's coming in.
Okay,
Got it?
got the bridge. Bridge is there.
So it's in good shape?
It's in good shape. It's passable at least.
In an earthquake situation, as long as we've got good surveillance, I think we can get to our bug out location okay.
I
Don't
think
you
we
think?
make it anywhere.
Yep.
Sounds good.
I think.
In an emergency, David hopes to wait out the aftermath in his geodesic dome, surviving off his preps. But he fears that an earthquake could render the roads to his bug-out property inaccessible, trapping him at home. And with nobody to help him, he'll need a smaller drone that can patrol his neighborhood and defend him if danger gets too close. Just west of Nashville, another Tennessee prepper, David Nash, is racing against the clock to prepare for a new Madrid earthquake.
It's not really a matter of if, it's a matter of when that this earthquake does go. People would have to try to get back to normal.
A report on the potential devastation to the new Madrid fault zone estimates that more than 200,000 buildings could be damaged just in Tennessee. So David is developing a plan to make sure the roof over his family's head will not come crashing down. But he first needs his wife, Jenny, to get on board with turning their vacation property into their bug-out property.
When I first got married, my wife, she really didn't understand what I was doing, but she's come to see that I prepare because I love her. Well, I've been thinking about it a lot. You know how I am with the projects, right? And I know how you are at visualizing, so I got you a visualization.
Okay.
You want to see?
Yeah, let me see. It's like a big old rock.
That's what I want to build. I'm building a concrete geodesic dome. We're building it for several reasons. And the first reason is a geodesic dome is very stable when it comes to the lateral shifting of movement that would occur after an earthquake.
The geodesic dome is considered one of the most stable structures on Earth, and some once thought of it as the future of housing because it eliminates the need for load-bearing walls.
The fact that it's round, it gives it a larger foundation compared to the height. We're concreting it to make it fireproof, to make it very strong, very secure.
A geodesic dome is constructed using an open framework of triangles, which distributes stress across the entire structure evenly.
What we've got is a lot of interlocking triangles, and a triangle is a lot more stable than a square because of just basic physics, the trigonometry. It's not going to shake as much.
The smaller surface area of a dome also makes it a more cost-effective shelter to build.
A dome structure gives you more square foot of enclosed space per unit of material than any other structure. So we're doing this dome because we think it gives the best balance of manpower, less labor, less costly materials, and strength. It'll be safe from an earthquake.
We can sleep in it?
We could.
Okay. I worry about how it's going to look. My biggest thing is I just don't want an eyesore near our house. I don't want to look out the window and see this big silver spaceship thing. But I think it's a good idea.
It's time for David to begin building his dream house from metal rods, a pile of nuts and bolts, a used tarp, 300 feet of chicken wire, and 14 tons of cement. All which total less than $1,000. To save on the cost of labor, a few of David's friends and his dad, Jim, are pitching in.
I've done construction some, and David's very smart. He has the brains. I have the experience. That's a good combination.
So what we're going to do is we're going to bolt a bunch of triangles together. Now, we don't want to tighten them up as we go because it'll start to lay flat. So if you're ready, let's get started. All right.
According to David's plan, he's laying out the first pipes in a pentagon to form the top of the structure.
Attach the long ones to make a bunch of triangles.
As he attaches more pipes of differing lengths around the sides, the structure naturally rises up to rest on itself and forms a self-supporting dome.
All right, now this is some room, ain't it?
Getting there.
The skeleton of the dome is standing on its own, but a test of its strength may be too much for David's dad to handle.
Dad, are you all right?
Tennessee prepper David Mays is preparing for a catastrophic new Madrid earthquake that he fears will liquefy the ground and his neighborhood with it. He's already proven capable of quickly mapping large areas of the destruction with his fixed-wing recon drone. But if a deadly quake traps David in his neighborhood, the fixed wing will be too large and too fast to provide detailed images of the damage, so he'll need something much more precise.
Hey, Nicholas, come here and check this out.
Whoa. What is it?
It's a drone.
So David is counting on a rotary drone, which, like a helicopter, can hover in place. This will allow him to have total situational awareness of his 500-home neighborhood and inspect any damaged structures without putting himself in danger. Like David's fixed-wing drone, the rotary drone operates using solar rechargeable batteries and is controlled using a radio wave signal.
Oh, I can't go.
I'm hoping it's going to get high enough, you know, at least over housetops and stuff like that, so we can see down.
With a rotary drone at 100 feet in the air, David can survey for miles in every direction.
It's pretty clear, isn't it?
It is. That is amazing.
This thing will definitely let us know if there's any
Wow.
during any issues outside, any looters, anybody around the house.
If a new Madrid earthquake happens, most government aid is expected to go to population centers. David believes it's only a matter of time before people run out of supplies and begin to take what they need by force.
David, is that you?
To ensure serious threats cannot interfere with his recon missions, David and his neighbor Paul are converting his intel drone into a flying taser.
You can make a shock attached to a camera flash. When you turn it on, it charges up, and then it fires. And there's enough energy to actually go through some wiring that would actually shock somebody. All right?
A disposable camera photo flash uses about a 300-volt charge and emits low amperage, and its circuitry is similar to an electroshock weapon, such as a stun gun.
So when you touch it, it releases the energy into the person.
And the person becomes the flash.
Ah! Ah! Oh, God, dog. It's like hitting me with a hammer.
All right, so this is the aluminum tape that we're going to put around the outside, around the top, around the bottom, and they can't touch each other.
The aluminum tape is wired to the positive and negative charges of the flash's capacitor, where all of the electrical energy is stored.
So we're doing this?
When skin comes into contact with both strips, it acts as a conductor to complete the circuit, which sends an electric shock through the body.
All right, man, let's go see if this thing still flies after all the stuff we did to it.
Let's test it out. All right, bring it over.
How's that?
God, yeah, it works. I think that they may touch it once, but they will leave it alone after that.
David thinks he can keep looters at arm's length. Now he's ready to begin the next phase in his drone army, modifying a drone to help the injured after an earthquake before it's too late. David Nash fears that his wood frame house won't withstand the destruction a new Madrid earthquake could unleash. So he and his father, Jim, are building a bug-out shelter that David believes will be indestructible. A geodesic dome.
You know, it's interesting, being a conservative gun guy, this dome, primarily, hippies use this at, like, Burning Man.
We're on long-haired hippies.
Nothing wrong with them. Half the stuff out here I got from missionaries or, you know, green living advocates. If you guys, we'll learn from you.
Geodesic domes are often made from steel and glass, which would shatter in an earthquake. So David plans to combine 3 different materials to form an unbreakable outer shell. The first layer is a waterproof tarp, which will then be covered by 3 types of fencing wire.
Okay, that will work. It went over all the way over across.
To which the third layer, 14 tons of cement, will be applied.
So what I've got is 300 feet of this 4-inch woven wire fencing, right? We're going to roll it over the top of the dome. That will give the dome some structure to hold our chicken wire and this 1/4-inch hardware cloth, which is what the cement will actually attach to. Is that enough?
Go on the side of the kitchen.
Hold on, you're pulling too much. You got me good.
David Mays has built a weaponized drone to defend himself against threats, so he can survey the damage of his 500-home subdivision after a new Madrid earthquake. And once he has ingested intel from his post-quake recon missions, he plans to send help to those in need.
After an earthquake, people are going to need medical supplies. I wanted to be able to provide some of those services to my neighbors.
So David and his wife, Holly, are creating a medical kit modeled after the Army's IFAK, or Improved First Aid Kit. Issued to every soldier, it is designed to increase survival rate by focusing on only the most common battlefield injuries. But the IFAK weighs 1 pound, and David's kit needs to be light enough to be drone lifted.
We've got to pare all this down to have a kit that weighs about 5 ounces. So normal first aid, you have to include things like gloves, scissors, gauze, bandage, but also include a suture kit.
How much does that weigh?
It weighs too much.
Oh.
They're going to have a way to sterilize, which means fire. So we need to send a fire starter with it. All right, so wound care, you're going to need several different oils. But we don't typically utilize the standard Western medicine that most do. Instead, we provide essential oils because they don't expire and they tend to work faster. So you're going to need Melaleuca to help cleanse the wound. Clove oil, it'll numb around the incision.
Frankincense helps promote tissue healing.
And lavender for calming. Yeah, let's bag all this stuff up and then we'll see how much it weighs.
Gloves.
Gloves, that's a good thing. Oh, yeah. We're still at only 3.2.
Okay.
So we've got a couple more ounces.
All right, well, gauze and bandage.
All right, right at 4.5 ounces.
David thinks delivering the medical kit by air in a post-liquefaction environment will require stability. So he's using a quadcopter, which has 4 propellers that create balance by spinning in opposite directions.
I picked this one because it's stable, it's got a lot of weight that it can carry.
But to increase the odds of successful delivery, David is modifying his quadcopter to make it lighter, faster, and more stable. If an earthquake happens, the medical drone may need to land in rubble. So David is replacing the standard struts with custom struts made from knitting needles that he thinks will weigh less, stand taller, and provide greater balance. He is also swapping out the plastic propellers for carbon fiber ones, which are stronger, lighter, and use less energy, resulting in increased performance. Military reconnaissance drones use full-color cameras embedded in the nose of the aircraft to relay detailed real-time images back to analysts. David thinks he will also need streaming video to best reach the injured.
This is a camera with a transmitter that gives us first-person vision. So now, I don't have to know where the drone is. So now we can actually fly it, land it, take back off, fly it back home. Can you see anything?
Yeah, I can see something. I see you.
So now it's time to fly?
It's ready.
But with his modifications complete, David will need to make sure his new drone doesn't crash and burn.
Whoa!
Several counties away, David Nash is constructing what he believes is the most stable type of building on Earth, a geodesic dome.
You got me good. The thing came back and poked into my hand. That's actually pretty bad. We were rolling the wire over, and one of the sharp ends, it rolled back, stuck in my hand, and it kind of pulled it. It bled pretty good. We got blood, sweat, and tears all in this dome now, but at least I didn't shoot my thumb off.
With the fencing wire securely fastened, he will add an interior feature to make life inside his Doomsday Dome a little brighter. Electricity-free light bulbs.
You fill it up with water with a little bit of bleach in it so that you don't have algae grow in it, right? And then you wrap it with aluminum foil, or this is a space blanket, something reflective, right? And then you put it in this flashing, so sunlight hits this and it reflects out the bottom. And it's about like a 50-watt bulb. Cut that section out.
Right here.
No,
Up here.
that way.
Like so.
Yeah.
He is also creating a water catchment system using an irrigation pipe that is cut in half, which could provide him with over 100 gallons of water.
As rain hits the roof and it comes down, this is going to be channeled to 55-gallon drums. We'll put one on each side. So a potential of 100 gallons of rainwater storage at no cost. Hopefully that'll be pretty when we put the cement on there.
David is now ready to add the final hardened layer to the dome's exterior. 14 tons of cement. Cement is typically made from a mixture of lime and silica, and when mixed with water, undergoes a chemical reaction to make it waterproof and fire resistant.
The way we test it to make sure it's proper consistency is we take a trowel. If it'll stick to the top of the trowel, it will stick to the dome.
Before the concrete can be applied to the dome, the water-to-dry mix ratio must be exact to produce a smooth, wet consistency. But if mixed incorrectly, David's fireproof compound will be nothing more than a pile of mud, and his dome a tent in the woods.
It ain't good.
You didn't follow directions, did you? What are you doing?
David Mays is testing out the medical drone that he has modified to deliver aid to his community if a new Madrid earthquake causes liquefaction. To remain undetected, he wants to be able to deploy his medical payload from hundreds of feet in the air. So the next stage of his build will be to create a parachute that can ensure the safe descent of the first aid kit.
All right, so we're going to take this piece of Mylar that we had and see if we can make a parachute out of it.
Mylar is a polyester film that is lightweight and strong, which will prevent the parachute from tearing.
So we know we need to reinforce the points, otherwise it will just rip right through the Mylar.
The first aid kit is being fastened to the Mylar sheet with fishing wire, which is designed to withstand rough surfaces, making sure the parachute and the supplies will stay together.
Just like a real one, you have to fold it to where it will open on its own. Son, I think we've got it.
With over 500 houses sitting on 1 square mile, it could take hours for David to locate the injured. So he's devised a test that will utilize his skills as a pilot to see how quickly he can find someone in need and safely deploy the parachute to deliver the medical kit.
So I sent the boys out to do kind of the final test of whether or not the drone is capable of delivering a medical package at a remote environment. I'm going to basically grid work the neighborhood and look for what would appear to be someone needing assistance.
But because the drone is dependent on a limited power supply, David will only have 30 minutes to find his kids before his battery dies. Another Tennessee prepper, David Nash, is building what he believes will be an earthquake-proof shelter. But without an outer shell, his plan could fall to pieces.
You didn't follow directions, did you?
I did just like it said. I put the water in first, I put in the sand, I put in the half thing, and then I let it mix. But what happened was I dumped in more than a half a bag. Then trying to fix it, got everything all jacked up. So there's the ingredients.
If it's a bad batch, dump it and start over. David and I will disagree. He comes from a different perspective than I do. I come from a different perspective and a different time than he does, but I have the experience. We're gonna mix this up consistently. That's a gallon?
That's what we're looking for.
David is applying the cement with the pressure hose because he believes it will create a flexible layer to withstand the twists and jolts it would be subjected to during a major seismic event.
The way the cement is bonded to the chicken wire, it's actually more flexible than what you would typically think cement structure would be. So it's got some give in it rather than just cracking.
Now that the cement has adhered to the chicken wire, David wants to begin work on the final step, camouflaging the dome. A type of camouflage, known as passive camouflage, is used to blend an object into its surroundings by repeating colors in the environment. But David wants to take a different approach. He is painting the dome to resemble boulders that are found in the area.
I think it come along pretty good. From up here, back up there at the road, I think it'll look like a boulder. I think people wouldn't think that's a building.
David's dome is ready to protect his family if it can withstand the force of a killer earthquake and the aftershocks that could continue months later. It's time to test his theory with force.
Dad, are you all right? Lord have mercy.
David Mays is 20 minutes into a test of the medical drone that he'll use to deliver aid to the injured if liquefaction occurs following a new Madrid earthquake. His sons could be at any of the 500 homes in his neighborhood, and with his solar rechargeable battery running out, he only has a few minutes to deploy his medical kit parachute before his plan to help survivors is at risk of failure. So he's flying to the maximum height to gain the furthest line of sight.
Dad! Hey! Over here!
Ooh, package! Yeah!
I found you guys.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. It took me a little while, but I mean, that was very visible. Great job. So the modifications that I made to the drone worked really well. and the performance was excellent. It did take a little while to find the right house, but I was very satisfied with the experiment. The boys did a great job notifying me. The help sign I thought was a brilliant idea, and it was not unlike what they used in Katrina, and so it was basically what any first responder would expect to see from the air. People probably think that I'm paranoid. I know that I can take care of my family regardless of what happens. Just because they're living with their heads in the sand, it doesn't make them safe. It just makes them think they're safe.
David Nash has constructed what he believes will be the difference between life and death in a new Madrid earthquake, a geodesic dome. Now, he and his dad are testing it to find out if the structure can withstand the power of a bomb blast that David believes will mimic the shock wave of an earthquake.
We have to ensure that it's secure because my wife and my son will be in the dome. So we have to test it to make sure that it's strong. All right, put that tannerite on there. So what I've got is some tannerite in an old soda bottle, about 5 pounds or so. What we're gonna do is try to simulate the best we can the shock wave that would come with an earthquake. You ready?
I'm ready. I volunteered to be inside. That's first off, that's what dads do. And second, if I've got something to do with it, it's gonna be strong enough to survive.
Dad, are you all right?
I'm okay.
Lord have mercy. Now that was a shock wave. Woo! That had to ring your ears, man.
A little bit.
Look at there.
Held up. I knew it would. I built it. We built it. Proud of you, son. You did a good job.
Anybody that's labeled a prepper probably has to deal with, you know, outside opinion. I know that I'm a little out there too, but you know, what my neighbors think of me really doesn't matter as long as, you know, my family knows that I care about them and that I protect them.
David Mays and David Nash, the experts, practical preppers, have assessed your preps. David Mays, your creative use of drone technology will help your family and other survivors after an earthquake. While your food and water resupply plan is a good start, we recommend increasing your stores.
I can agree with that assessment. I feel that we do need to have more than 4 months worth of stored food.
David Nash, your DIY approach to prepping will serve you well in any crisis situation. We commend you for building a geodesic dome, as they are proven to be stable shelters during an earthquake. But we think you need to store more water.
You know, I appreciate the advice. I know no one can get 100%. Nobody's prepared for everything, but we're not done, and every day we've got is just more stuff that we're going to be able to do.
Earthquakes in the new Madrid Fault occur once every 500 years on average. Some scientists believe there's a greater than 1 in 50 chance that the new Madrid Fault will unleash a major earthquake in the next 50 years. There is geological evidence that liquefaction did occur in the last new Madrid earthquake, but researchers say they cannot confidently predict the likelihood or intensity of future incidents.